Welcome back. The fight for Black lives in the Bronx and nationally has not ended for our next guests. They've been named number 9 on the City and State's Bronx Power 50 list, and they've protested and fought against the wrongful deaths of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and many others. Most recently, George Floyd's death in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Joining us now are Chivona and Hawk Newsome of Black Lives Matter, Greater New York. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Let me just start by saying y'all are really about that life. Y'all are about it, and you're both out here. I've seen you at protests in the field, of course, but also just in community providing support and resources to people in our borough. To start, tell us about your ongoing fight for Black lives and how your mobilizing has taken shape, not only in just protesting, but in community outreach programs here in the Bronx, especially through COVID-19.
Well, we have to start with COVID-19, and of course, our heart goes out to all the families of the Bronx who had become, our home became the epicenter. And our organization foresaw this. We reached out as soon as Pause in Place came out. We reached out to Governor Cuomo. We asked for additional resources, for monies to be given to cure violence organizations because we foresaw that the NYPD couldn't handle it. We asked for more testing sites. But in the interim, while asking and waiting, our people were starving. So we began the People's Food Program, and we raised about 40 or 50K throughout the whole duration of the campaign, and we are still currently feeding people. We fed about 6,000 Bronx residents door to door because you should not have to risk getting COVID to eat. So that's a big part of our mutual aid. And since then, we've helped other places outside of the Bronx as well by contributing.
Yeah, definitely. We have there's so much that we've done over the years, but it's hard for me to look past the last 4 or 5 months. So, for instance, when George Floyd's tape aired, Black Lives Matter Minnesota reached out to us and were like, we're doing a protest. We want you to help us launch it nationally, right? So within 2 hours, we shared, what do you call those things? Invite. We shared an invite, and we had 10 people sign up to watch the live feed. And then when we started that, the feds, or the powers that be, kept people from viewing this. They kept interrupting the link. So within a day of that, we were on our way to Minnesota. We actually came out to LA and participated in the sit-in in front of their mayor, Mayor Garcetti's house, and they were successful in actions to defund the police. We fought for families in New Jersey. We fought for a ballot initiative in Florida. We campaigned for Stacey Abrams in Georgia. So when we start talking about mobilizing, we've been marching for a long time, but really what people have to look beyond to and see is the importance of organizing. We've been organizing. You know what I mean? Organizing the people, moving the people, pushing forward campaigns. And I think that's something that our folks would know. And most importantly, we're in the Bronx, heavy, feeding people, fighting for people, getting arrested, getting arrested because cops are enforcing racist social distancing practices. Cops come through our neighborhoods to break up block parties like the Gestapo, like an army. We put our lives on the line and shut them down. And 2 people at times have backed down 30, 40 cops. So it's like it's at home and it's abroad as well.
Thank you both. I wanted to lay out that the Black Lives Matter Greater New York movement is not affiliated with the Global network. Could you just clarify that? You're not affiliated with George Soros. How do you operate differently?
The way we operate differently is all of our funding comes from people. We are grassroots at our heart. So thank you to everyone who's given on PayPal, to our website, Cash App, Venmo, whatever. I'm not going to name drop all of them. Mm-hmm. But at the core of it and why we founded this organization, we needed radical revolutionaries in the fight for Black liberation. We needed to get this oppressive government's foot off of our neck. And Global, at the height of its inception, Black Lives Matter Global, they had about 33 chapters. They were using their talents and their wealthy donors to fund arts and plays and books. So right now they're about down to 16 official chapters. We are not a part of that. We share a different mission statement. We want radical change. We want it now. And we're joined by over 400 unaffiliated chapters throughout the world.
We are about Black liberation, first and foremost. We talk about Black liberation. We talk about our communities. Of course, that includes our brown brothers and sisters, some of whom respect and honor their African heritage. Some don't. We got to educate a lot of people, right? But, you know, as far as us and Black Lives Matter Global goes, we've never donated to a political campaign, right? People send us money, it comes to us. And it started out like real hardcore grassroots. And then now some A-list celebrities have said, you know what, we know the difference between Black Lives Matter Global and Black Lives Matter Greater New York, but we kind of like Black Lives Matter Greater New York. So we've had Rihanna donate money to us, Public Enemy, right? Chuck D, Public Enemy. They've created, exactly. They've created a Public Enemy / Black Lives Matter Greater New York t-shirt that they're launching, right? Nick Cannon has always been with us. So some celebrity have really, you know, respected us. Idris Elba, his partner, they rocked with us. So, you know, we're growing. People like our particular brand of activism. Like, this isn't little rich kids or really smart people who believe in philosophies and, you know, and then like, oh, I speak for all Black people. No, you're talking to people who are from 163rd and Sheridan Avenue. You understand? Like, people who are really from our neighborhoods who spend, you see us, you know, we travel, but next week we'll be in Webster Projects, right? Giving out book bags. Like, we are really in the streets helping our people. And that's why, you know, you got the government, politicians be hating on us. You got cops be hating on us. You got other activists be hating on us. But the problem is we are in the streets, F with us in a real major way. And until they get in the streets and start doing this work, they can't break that connection. So they have to respect it.
Absolutely.
Word. Let's talk about the Black vote. Donald Trump has stated that MAGA loves Black people, and Joe Biden stated that you ain't Black if you don't vote Biden. And now he's selected the first Black in his race. Many folks have strongly held opinions on Harris's record as a California prosecutor. What are your thoughts on the upcoming elections and the Biden-Harris ticket?
I'm going to try and speak from this point to be unbiased. So to look at it from a real political aspect. First, we need to start with truths. Donald Trump does not love Black people. He actually released one of his MAGA night slogans in the way he speaks to his base. Well, I was out in Minneapolis. I was in fear of my life. Our team was, 10 members of us were on the run because of how Donald Trump incites racism. So that's wrong, for one. Now, with the Kamala and the Biden ticket, it's not what we want it for. And I think people need to understand, everyone who was around to see that first Obama 2007, 2008 election, we are not fired up. We are not ready to go, but we have to do what's in the best interest of our people. And it's a very tough decision because Joe Biden has a very checkered past, as well as Ms. Kamala Harris, VP nominee, having a checkered past as a top cop. But we have to understand what is going to happen to our community. What is going to happen by community at this time, not only the Bronx, where we need the most help, we have the most poverty, we have the most asthma rates. When I say community, I mean America as a whole. Can we continue on this divide? Can we continue with the racism and the blood in the streets? Or can we, it might not be the candidates we necessarily wanted. Can they work with us and adopt? But I want your viewership and all people to know we have to retain our power. Just because Donald Trump is evil and we hate him, what is the Biden-Harris ticket going to promise our community? Are they going to fight environmental injustice, mass incarceration, housing, and all of the woes that plague people who look like you and me? So I think it's still time. It's about 70-something days out until the general election. We need to save the post office, of course, because he's feeling he's going to lose and he's trying to gut that. But we need a real clear and concise plan from the Democratic candidates. I wish our community, which the Bronx has one of the strongest Democratic counties in the whole entire country, we need to demand our power. We know that Black women elect Democratic presidents. We know that just as white women have voted for Donald Trump. So we need to harness our vote, and we need executive orders and legislations to uplift our community, no matter who's president, even though it's a big F Donald Trump and he needs to leave office.
Absolutely. And Hawk, I wanted to ask a specific question to you. Back in 2016, you led an initiative stating, I ain't voting till Black Lives Matter. Do you still hold the same feelings today? And what can this election mean for Black and brown people here in the Bronx?
You really have to understand that like a lot of times I've been the face of this organization, but it's always been us who have been laying down the plans. You know, it's just Chivona's a brilliant nuts and bolts person. So she was always working behind the scenes, getting things done. And now she stepped out into the forefront. People can truly appreciate how special this woman is. I don't really mean that. My mother would get mad if I didn't say that type of stuff. No, but realistically, I feel like we need to show up and vote Donald Trump out, but I can't force people to vote. I can inspire people to vote. And if these people were to be inspired, I'd have to be inspired myself, right? Now, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are very uninspiring. Think about how lackluster they have to be if people know that Donald Trump is Satan in a suit, and they're still like, I don't know if I'm going to show up to vote. Why? Why is that? Why don't people want to go out and vote for these Democrats? Because people see these Democrats as tools of white supremacy, the same way that they see Donald Trump as a tool of white supremacy. And what are they promising that are different? Look at Joe Biden's platform, and you'll see that he's listened to activists only in instances where we fought and had legislation passed. So he's incorporated that into his campaign. What's radical in his campaign? What's going to inspire Bernie people? What's going to inspire the Black Lives Matter, the organizers, those people who are marching around shaping the laws of this country? What's going to inspire them to get out and vote? But then you have to take a step back and think about it from a real macro level, right? The Bronx is burning. We're the unhealthiest county in New York City. Our educational system sucks. The streets are not safe. And I'm not saying we need more police. We need more programs to stop people from killing each other. Our neighborhoods are dirty. There's homelessness everywhere. So who do we look at? We look at the Ruben Diaz's, right? We look at both of them. We can look at these city council members, right? We can look at these assembly members, right, who are supposed to be like us, that make all of these promises, but how have they helped the Bronx? And these are Democrats to their core. The Bronx voted for Obama stronger than any county in the country, and we still suffering. So how am I going to go out there and be like, these Democrats going to make your life right, when the people of the Bronx can't even get treated right by the Democratic Party? Like, they got to do more. They got to be radical, not when it's cool to be radical, but radical consistently. And that's what we believe in. Look at AOC. What is AOC really doing in the Bronx? That's why people be like, screw the Democratic Party. And I'll be like, yo, I'm with you, but we got to get Trump out. But they got to give us something to hold on to. They got to give us something to give the people so we can make the people go out and vote.
Now, Chivona, speaking of those radical ideas, while running for Congress in District 15, you developed a list of demands as part of the Black Act back in June, with calls against structural racism within the police, housing, and education systems. So far, the NYPD has been defunded. Are you satisfied with the cut? And what else do you call for within the Black Act? What's next?
I would love to take credit for that full plan, but the whole BLM Greater New York, as well as a think tank of team members around the country, came together on that. After we had gotten back from the unfortunate murder site of George Floyd in Minneapolis, we just locked in to like one of our team members' like basements of their home with pillows and pizza, and just thanks to everyone who's put in that. And that is a living, breathing document. So any organizers or people watching this feel as though we may have missed something, please reach out. I think that the passing of some of the laws, because it's like a 24-point piece of legislation, the passing of some of those laws, it shows how quickly things can change. Our people have been pacified for years and being told to wait, being told it's going to take time, not this administration. And we've seen legislation happen in about 2 weeks. We had a 25,000 person march in Times Square, which de Blasio tried to shut down and kill pedestrian traffic. But we are activists. We don't need a permit to do things. So we bust that open and unleashed our legislative package. Now, regarding your question about defunding the police, it's bull. I just want everybody to know what defunding the police means. First of all, that means taking that money, that $11 billion budget, and giving it to communities like ours, putting that money into education, putting that money into cure violence organizations, which have a history of stopping crimes in the community, because we don't need more police, having more social workers in schools, because schools right now is just a stepping stone on the way to the school to prison pipeline. So we need to invest in these. And we've seen that a lot of city council members who who've had the power to vote and power to make true change. That bill, is someone who's formerly in finance and who holds a degree in economics, is full of crap. It's not a real defunding of the police, and we need something more aggressive. Just moving money around, moving school safety officers, it's just a basic economics trip. It's like no more than money laundering, actually. What they're doing is putting money in shell corps, or putting it offshore, and that's what the NYPD did. I am unsatisfied with it, but shout out to everyone who was down at Abolition Park, who took a real stand, people who were hurt, who were beaten just because they believed, because it was like bodegas there, it was libraries there, it was people doing yoga there. So no matter how the media tends to portray Abolition Park and people standing for the defunding of the police, they're heroes, but we have to keep fighting. So the next budget, or until we can get some real legislation, have some real money diverted, we can't let up on this fight. That's why I'm encouraged to see sites like Justice for George on Instagram, sites like our own and our other allies posting where you can protest every day. As long as we stick to the streets, we'll get early results. This is the biggest civil rights movement we've ever seen. It took Martin Luther King 4 years to get his voting rights passed, and we had 4 pieces of legislation in under a month. Now, this is because of people's unrest. We take no credit. This is a collective that's happening around the world, but it happened rather quickly. Repealing 50A, which hid officers' misconduct, the chokehold ban, all these things we've been working on for half of a decade. But because everyone took to the streets in the Bronx, around the city, around the world, we see how quickly things can change. So I hope once the world returns to normal and this whole COVID pandemic is behind us, I hope that people still continue to know how powerful they are and know that we can have full liberation. We don't have to wait another 400 years to be free.
How can people stay connected with you and support the Black Lives Matter Greater New York movement? Please leave us with a message for the people of the Bronx as well.
Well, they can locate us on BLM Greater NY on Instagram. His personal is Hawk Newsome on Instagram. Mine is New York / Bonnie on Instagram and Twitter. It's VONNI and Chivona Newsome. You can search me on any of these platforms. But I think I would like to impart, and I know Hawk has some closing words. Like, we are from the Bronx. We have endured the crack era. We've endured the burnouts. We've endured the worst of what this nation has tried to throw at us, and we continue to stand strong. There's a better way for us. We can eliminate poverty. We can eradicate evictions. We can have good housing. We don't have to settle for this. We don't need anyone to save us. We have the power here in the Bronx to save ourselves.
I mean, what can I add to that other than whatever racist, systemic racist wall, whatever capitalistic, classist wall they put in front of our people, we are going to run through it, go over it, or go around us. And to my people of the Bronx, if you ever need us, just go up to the roof and say, yeah, and we'll be right there.
Thank you so much. Much respect to you and the Black Lives Matter Greater New York movement. Thank you for following in your parents' footsteps of doing this work. Much respect to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back with Open BXRx.